Okay, so as I said, at 9 o'clock, I was going to allow them to finish their conferences. That was actually very productive. They resolved some stuff that was going to take a bit, and so that made our lives a whole lot easier. What I'm going to do is call the calendar first to see who's here. If you're here for probation, just answer here. If you're here for something else, like a permit, just say permit or something else, and let me know. We'll see who's here, and then we'll sort it out and figure out which way we're going. So, okay. First case, Timothy Alford. Here. Oh wait, I got ahead of this man.
She's talking to.
So, okay, well I got ahead of her. So she's gonna panic when she comes out. Will you tell her not to panic when she comes out? And Ramalis Barkley. Ramalis Barkley.
Is that a probation?
Yes.
Or did you say 64?
64, yes.
That response on Bart?
Yeah.
All right, we'll ask for a probation warrant and Spalding.
All right, Barkley's warrants issued, probation's told. Well, it'll be told now that I've signed the part that says it's told. Okay, Jordan Blaine.
That case is off, Judge.
Wonderful.
That consent?
All right, next probation case, Melinda Brown.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. All right, that's page one. All right, Zakeem Cadet.
Here.
How do you say your name?
Joaquin.
Joaquin. Name's important. I'm gonna get it right moving forward.
Thank you. I assume Mr. Hicks is no longer on that case. I haven't had any communication from him.
All right, are you represented by counsel or are you represented by yourself? Represented.
By myself, this is for probation.
Okay, then yeah, he seems. All right, we'll cover that. That's fine. Most folks are. Michael Chambers.
That case is off, Judge.
That means they're engaged in your interactions. All right, Zakia Clemens.
Is that probation?
Yes.
All right, we'll ask for a probation warrant and towing.
Grant.
And just to let you know, Judge, Jelani Davis is a jail case, Lamar Dennis is a jail case, that's at the bottom of page 2. And bottom of page 4, for Nadia Murphy, toward the bottom is a jail case.
I'm not calling them right. Yeah, we decided not to do that.
Okay, Clemens, warrant is issued and probation is told. All right, so Davis, Director Matthews says that's resolved.
And he has an attorney.
Got good morning, good judge.
All right, so do y'all need anything? Do we need to do anything on that?
We're just getting consent.
That's
So
correct.
Ms. Rich is gonna be emailing a consent that we need to get printed off. I'm not quite sure if we've gotten it yet.
I'll pull up my email. I have not put in my email.
I have not.
Okay, so my email's up now. There it is, actually. Yeah. I'm the luckiest judge in the state of Georgia. Like everywhere I look, I have rock stars. So, all right, I'm printing that now. I keep saying if there were like state court games, we would get a gold medalist every year. So, okay, that's printing. What are we doing on that one?
There's my copy. No, it's not your fault. I was just saying that it wrong spot. I knew I had one. But Patrick wanted to change it. He had not had a chance to even approve it.
Well, I'm always happy. Yeah, let y'all email it, print it. Let's see. Okay, so new consent's here. I printed it and directed it. You want me to go and sort that out and get him out of here? Okay, we're gonna go at ease while they figure that out real quick. Calendar, and again, y'all, I know that was a diversion from the calendar, but that was another one of the big hearings that we just did not have. So again, I just want to make certain you all hear me saying that these diversions are well worth your time. Because we didn't just have an hour long meeting. So, okay, so that's Davis, and then so LeVar Dennis signed a consent or signed one today?
It's already signed.
It's done.
Yeah, that was Harry's case.
Oh, that's the one he handed me this morning when he came in. Okay. So that's my two, so Piper, that's our two jail cases, and then, Murphy, is your California?
Sure.
Okay, I'll take that plea in just a minute, and then that will close out your.
Yeah, that'll give me set up for returning in when municipal gives me a call.
All right, that sounds fine. All right, Edge. It looks like Samaj, Edge? No? That's probation.
That probation, it is, that's for probation warrant and total.
Great. Yeah. On that point, guy. Accidentally, that makes it.
Judge, he paid his case off yesterday. I know we're working with him, so he's on.
That was on, Edge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so Edge is not a warrant. He closed his case yesterday. So no time like the last minute. Okay. Jason Glenn.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Glenn, you're here and we'll take about 10 seconds. Come on up here. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Would having to put an ignition interlock device on your vehicle cause you a financial hardship?
It would be a little bit more stressful, yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna take that as a yes, because you've already given me all the paperwork I needed
Yes,
to answer every other question that I needed to answer. And so part of what we were doing here was I went back, I already printed your order, already given it to the clerk, assuming you would say yes to that question. You moved to California now, is that correct?
I've returned back to Georgia.
Okay, well, if you're returning back to Georgia, make certain that you go swap out your California ID for a Georgia ID. And you should, unless I'm mistaken, be able to get a permit at this point. And if you discover that there's anything else I can do to assist you in getting your license back, I'm happy to do it. So, but again, I wanted to thank you. Your case was very easy to sort out because you gave me all the paperwork I needed. Eric has it all there. You gave me all the paperwork I needed to figure out everything I needed to know before the hearing. All right, that's it. There should be an original and 2 copies of the order. Go give the original to DDS. Keep a copy for yourself. And the 3rd copy is just out of habit. Okay. Yeah, well, you don't need the 3rd one. That was just me by mistake.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all clear. Thank you. All right, so that was great. All right, Taylor Johnson. Here. Thank you. Shauna Jones.
Here.
All right, page 3, page 4, Jasmine Mays. Excellent. Marvin Miller. Marvin Miller.
And that's for probation warrant and total.
Great. Angel Minor? Minor? No?
That's for probation warrant and total.
Great.
She already has an active warrant, Judge, so we were just here today to try to toll this case.
Okay.
I was going to say she's a frequent flyer.
Oh, yes. So the answer is, that's great. So the. Okay, so the case is officially told, warrant was already issued. All right, Murphy, as soon as I finish the calendar, I'm gonna take Murphy's plea. I think someone's ready.
She was a pretrial judge. She's going to be coming off pretrial today. pleading in. There's a concurrent case that her sentence will run with.
Okay.
I think she did a consent on the concurrent case, and the 64 days is what's left on that consent. So just let them be done together.
All right, I'll sign that. I only have up here the, okay, wait.
Yes.
You don't need a new probation.
No.
That's what I was trying to say.
And there's also one that needs to so we sent notice, if he's not here today, then I will.
There's no idea. There's nothing.
She's not on the back of the
What's the case number?
It is 21 SR 1131.
All right, let's just file it here in the court. And, all right, Kristen Scott.
Here.
Excellent. All right, there's another case that is supposed to be on the calendar, but was not properly moved from one agency to the next. It's Monlasta Sands, another frequent flyer, 21 SR 1131 Sands. Are you here? Okay, Sands was properly noticed. However, the petition, although they thought that he filed it, they couldn't find the proof where that he filed it. It's here, and he was noticed to be here.
Okay.
And so I'm very comfortable with it. We'll get that filed or refiled or whatever needs to go before we leave the courtroom today.
All right. Well, that's for a probation warrant and tolling.
All right, that's granted. Again, that's not an ideal procedure, but I can't see anything wrong with it.
It was noticed.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I keep coming back to, is that Sands was noticed. And let's face it, this is not Sands' first case with us either, so, okay, Sands' warrant is issued, probation's told. All right, Kim Stubbs. Stubbs?
Probation.
Yes,
Well, that's for a probation warrant and tolling.
granted. All right, while I'm doing this last one, Murphy, you can come around. And then Isaiah Williams. Williams,
Assume that's probation too. All right. Well, that's for a probation warrant and tolling.
granted. All right, that, Smith Williams is, probation warrants issued and it's, all right, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, I'm gonna place you under oath. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, state your full name for me.
Benign Lachey Murphy.
All right, and, your case is 21 SR 1894. And you are participating in our pretrial diversion program. And it's my understanding that the state filed paperwork to see about revoking that. And it looks to me like you've reached an agreement where you're going to withdraw from the program and enter this plea that's in front of me to get your case back on track. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so let's talk this through. So state your full name, first, middle, last.
Benign Lachey Murphy.
All right. And you are here today on 21 SR 1894.
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to a hearing for me to determine whether or not you violated the terms of the pretrial diversion agreement?
Yes, sir.
And by entering this plea and consenting, to the removal, there will be no hearing. Is that acceptable to you?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to have an attorney represent you, and you're here representing yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's then jump in. So let's start with removing you from the program. I have in front of me this order, which appears to have your signature, removing you from the program, effective today. Is this your signature here?
Yes, sir.
All right. And is that what you want me to do, is sign this agreement?
Yes, sir.
All right, I've now signed the consent agreement, removing you from the pretrial diversion period, removing you from the pretrial diversion and putting us back on track. So officially at this moment, you're out of the program, you're back on the trial calendar, and you would normally move towards a jury trial, but instead you're gonna resolve your case with a plea, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand you have the right to a jury trial, or to a bench trial, excuse me?
Yes, sir.
And that by entering this plea, you're giving up that right to a bench trial?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, you have passed up to me the self-represented defendant plea rights waiver. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Are these your initials next to each of the lines on page 1,
Yes, sir.
page 2,
Yes, sir.
and is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
Did you sign and initial this document after having all the time that you needed to review it,
Yes, sir.
and because you understood everything that's on it?
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions I can answer for you about anything on this document?
No, sir.
You have the right to have an attorney represent you, and you're here representing yourself. Do you understand that you have that right?
Yes, sir.
And do you want to represent yourself at this plea?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that, as I said a moment ago, you have the right to a jury trial, including all these rights I'm pointing at in the middle of page 1 inside of jury trial? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And you're giving up that right by entering this plea. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you think of any other questions you want me to answer about this, do you promise to ask me?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're charged with 1 count of affray in that you did here in Spalding County. Actually, I don't have the information. Okay. Okay, there we go. And that you did here in Spalding County, did fight as in a physical altercation in a public location, back on,
Yeah, sorry, Judge, I didn't have my accusation.
Well-
Ready to-
I frankly wasn't expecting my database to take the entire plea to pull up, so it's not anybody's fault. So I'm gonna blame Tyler Technology.
Very
alright,
good punching bag.
Yeah, there we go. There we go, finally pulled up. It shows an instant date. Nope, that's not gonna go in the application. There we go. All right, it says that, you did fight in a public place here in Spalding County with Dontre Knuckles, at Griffin High School, and this disturbed the public tranquility. Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna find with your admission of guilt as to the charge of affray that there's enough for me to take your plea. I'm gonna find that you're knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently waiving your rights in entering this plea. I reviewed the recommendation. I'm gonna follow it exactly as you've negotiated it.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you have any questions for me about anything before I sentence?
Yes. I'm supposed to have go to court October. Do I still go to court?
All right, let me pull that up because it looked to me like you had a couple of different things moving around here. No, that's a Vernicia. No, that's not yours. So this should resolve that. I don't show any other cases.
She did get new charges as part of the reason she's in jail, Judge. She asked me that same question and I told her that I didn't know. I didn't know if she would be in court that quick for the new charges.
Are they here?
Nah, he wrote me 2 citations. So I'm just trying to see, do I still go to court?
I just don't see other, I
Can
just
I
don't
see
see.
the front of that petition? Was it a Griffin police officer that wrote?
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am.
So you may have municipal court then, and that's why the judge can't find.
Yeah, I don't see anything. I mean, 21 SR 1984, which is the case we're talking about, is literally the last case I show in my system. And anything you got arrested on is there immediately, so it should be there.
I'm looking her up on our roster, our census,
Oh,
excuse
thanks,
me, and the two traffic citations appear to be City of Griffin.
Okay, that's the answer then. So the answer is you have a City of Griffin court date coming up. You need to check with the City of Griffin Municipal Court. You can go into the building next door and talk to the clerk and see when their court date is, and they'll tell you.
All right.
So, okay, I'm glad we got this sorted out. Thanks, Kip.
I appreciate you.
Okay, you ready? We're almost done.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're not. It's okay. Murphy, 21 SR 1894 for the affray. I'm gonna give you 64 days to serve. Have you served those 64 days?
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's just what's left on the concurrent
That's
case.
what's left on the pretrial. She signed a consent on her concurrent regular probation case to serve 90. And so this won't add any extra time to her.
All right, so the sheriff will calculate your time. And I will not review that calculation unless there's plain error, okay? So whatever time credit you get is between you and the sheriff, and I have no interest in the answer to that question as long as it's a legal answer. You have 30 days from today if you wish to appeal this decision. You have 12 months from today if you wish to use your habeas rights. That's that weird old law where you sue Spalding County civilly over in Superior Court to challenge this conviction. You need anything else from me? All right, if you step over here, as soon as Murphy's filed all the paperwork, sign it, either across, sign everything, y'all signal to me, I'll step off the bench so that y'all can, if you need me to step off the bench so that y'all can walk the inmates out.
Just for the record, she's saying 60. I know, of course.
I just did it. This is sorry.
It's on you.
Mr. Shepherd, I think that's it for you, right?
I'll be right back. You just gotta run HR.
That's fine. That's Murphy. All right, so with that, I'm going to pivot to the walk-in hearings. As I call your name, I'm going to have you step up to the podium. I'm going to place you and Director Matthews under oath. The moment, once that happens, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, clarify, make certain you understand why you're here, and what we're doing. And then I'm going to let Director Matthews do two things. Tell you what the allegations are as to the allegations of how you may or may not have violated your probation. And she's also going to tell you what the state's recommendation is on your case. And then I'm going to ask you two questions. Do you admit to the violations, and is that recommendation acceptable? If it is, I've already reviewed the recommendations. I will very likely accept those recommendations. If it's not, then we'll sort it out as we go. So let's start with Timothy Alford. Go step forward to the podium, please. Okay, if you will please, y'all both please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
I do.
All right, you're both sworn. Please state your full name for me.
Timothy Bernard Alford.
All right, and Mr. Alford, you're here on 23 SR 0272 because your probation officer has filed paperwork with this court alleging that you're out of compliance with your probation. You understand what you're doing here today?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to have an attorney represent you, and you're here representing yourself. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Director, whenever you are ready.
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
Do you want to do I apologize.
No, sorry.
So on 23 SR 0272, the defendant is alleged to have violated the terms and conditions in the following. The defendant failed to pay the court fines and fees as ordered, or utilize community service work in lieu of the court fine, being in arrears $152. The defendant failed to attend the Family Violence Intervention Program classes weekly as ordered. The recommendation on this case is for him to report to probation weekly for the duration, payments of $93 weekly, attend the Family Violence Intervention Program weekly without interruption and provide proof. 0 tolerance for the duration. Next report date would be in person on September 20th between the hours of 1 and 5.
Okay, so two questions. A, do you admit to the violations?
Yes, sir.
And B, is that recommendation acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I agree. As I said, I've already reviewed your recommendation. I do think it's the proper response. I'm gonna adopt it and make it the order of this court.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions for me before we part ways?
No, sir.
All right, so if you'll step back through the double doors there, stand over by the light switches and wait for the bailiffs. They're gonna have you sign your order and then they're gonna give you a copy before you go. Piper, if I step off the bench for a minute, will that let you take them?
I have to wait on them to call, let me know, so we're just kind of in standby.
All right, you let me know when you need to move.
Yeah.
Marty, you need me on anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Shepherd. Come on up to the podium, please. All I'm thinking Okay, please, y'all both please raise your right hands. Do you both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
All right, please state your full name for me.
My name is Brian.
All right, and Ms. Brown, you're here today on 21 SR 2632 because your probation officer has filed paperwork with the court alleging that you're out of compliance with your probation. Do you understand what you're doing here today?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're actually pretrial. Yeah, got it. All right, so we're doing two things today. We're determining whether or not you're in violation of the pretrial diversion terms, and then I'm also having a bond hearing. And the bond hearing is whether or not I will leave you out. If I pull you out of the program, I will also decide whether to revoke your bond, because one of your bond conditions is to successfully complete this program. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, all right, you have the right to have an attorney represent you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And are you ready? Is it okay with you that you're representing yourself?
Yes, sir.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, Director Matthews, floor is yours.
Judge, on 21 SR 2632, there's actually 6 charges in this pretrial diversion program case. The defendant is alleged to have violated the terms and conditions of the pretrial program as follows. The defendant's failed to pay restitution as ordered, being in arrears $130. The defendant's failed to pay the probation fees as ordered, being in arrears $120. The defendant's failed to provide proof of completing court order community service converted hours by turning in 3 out of 25 hours. The recommendation on this case is to report to probation weekly for the duration, payments of $39 a week, community service at 10 hours a week, 0 tolerance for the duration of active probation. Her next report date would be on September 20th between the hours of 1 and 5.
Okay. Do you admit to the violations?
I do.
And is that recommendation acceptable?
Yes, sir.
It is? Okay. Well, then I'm gonna adopt it and make it my order of the court. I do wanna be very careful here and say, this is our second hearing on this case.
Yes, sir.
And if we get to 3, then I'm gonna wonder if this is in both of our best interests. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And if we have to have another hearing, I just need you to be aware that your case is a terminate upon completion case, which means the moment you check your boxes, you're finished with me and you and I will just see each other around town. But if you don't finish it and you have to come back for a third hearing, I'm very likely going to pull you out of the program, and then I'm very likely going to revoke your bond because you failed. You did not comply with your bond conditions. So I don't mean to scare you, but I also am just trying to communicate very clearly and directly so that you are highly motivated to get this done. And they're going to help you. So if you'll just communicate with them and tell them what's going on and what you need, they're going to help you because they want to see you successfully complete the program. And so do I.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay. You're very close. You don't have much time. You don't have much time left. And again, you terminate upon completion. So as soon as you check your boxes, you and I are good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
very much. If you'll step back there to the left and step by the left, please. All right. That's perfect. All right. Cadet.
Violation of
And I have Zakeem, but is it cadet?
Yes, sir.
All right, 1's off 2.
Yes, Judge.
Excellent. And that just leaves the DUI school.
Correct. And I believe he signed up to do that this week.
Are you doing DUI school this week?
Yeah,
Oh.
I start Friday.
You're doing great. Okay, let's just get you back on track then. All right, you both please raise your right hands. You both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
I do.
All right, state your full name for me.
Jakeem Hire, Xavier Cadet.
All right, and your case is 22 SR 0549. You're here today because your probation officer has filed paperwork with the court alleging that you're out of compliance with your probation. You understand what you're doing here today?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to have an attorney represent you, and you're here representing yourself. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
All right, are you ready to go forward?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did you hear Director Matthews say that there were 2 allegations on the table, but you've resolved one of them? So great job on that. That's exactly what I want folks to do, is do what they can to get their stuff resolved before they get here, which just leaves the one allegation left. Okay, so Director Matthews, floor is yours.
Judge, on 22 SR 0549, the defendant is alleged to have violated the terms and conditions of probation on the following. The defendant failed to complete DUI school by the extended deadline of July 28, 2023 as ordered. The recommendation on this case is to report to probation as directed, payments of $164 monthly, complete DUI school within 30 days, zero tolerance for 90 days. His next report date would be in person, September 20th, between the hours of 1 and 5.
Okay. What was the new deadline for the DUI school?
It would be October 14th.
All right, so 2 questions. Do you admit to the last remaining violation, which is not turning in proof of completion for your DUI school?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is the recommendation from Director Matthews acceptable?
Yes, but I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
She said no something for 90 days. That just means no messing up for 90 days, right?
Yes.
No, yeah, zero tolerances, no missed appointments, no missed payments, no
That's
missed
what-
deadlines.
I got you.
And it's usually longer than that, but it's clear to me that you've made substantial efforts to getting your case back on track. And you wore a suit to court today. I mean, I can't tell you what that means to me. So the short answer is that your efforts.
Do you want to reduce it to 60?
Yes, that's a great idea. Merry Christmas. So,
Thank you.
all right, so your efforts got you 30 and your suit got you 30 more. So, I mean, like I said, I dream of one day walking out of here and everybody's dressed for church. So, okay. Well, that's it then. So, like I said, good job, doing great. If you'll step back there over the light switch, and they're going to have you sign an order and give you a copy before you go.
Thank you.
Hey, good job. I wish everybody worked that hard to get their cases back on track before court. Yeah, this is great. Okay. Johnson? I missed one. Okay, yeah, Taylor Johnson. Sorry, there were a lot of warrants and all, so.
Violation of the rights to remove from this case as well.
Great job. All right, y'all both please raise your right hands. You both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, sir.
I do.
All right, you both sworn. All right, please take your full name for me.
Taylor Austin Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, you're here on 22 SR 0536 because your probation officer has filed paperwork with the court alleging that you're out of compliance with your probation. You understand what you're doing here today?
Yes.
You have the right to have an attorney represent you, and you're here representing yourself. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
And you ready?
Yes.
All right, and did you hear Director Matthews say that there were, that the first allegation that was on the table today, I believe you have resolved, and so it's been removed from consideration, so good job. So, good job on that. All right, floor is yours.
Judge, on 22 SR 0536, the defendant is alleged to have violated the terms and conditions of probation on the following. The defendant failed to complete DUI school by the extended deadline of July 16 as ordered. The recommendation on this case is to report to probation as directed, payments of $182 monthly, complete DUI school within 30 days, community service at 8 hours per week, zero tolerance for 90 days. His next report date would be September 20th, between the hours of 1 and 5.
Okay, 2 questions. Number 1, do you admit to the violation, the single remaining violation?
Yes, sir.
All right, and is that recommendation acceptable?
Yes.
Okay, I agree. And again, good job getting your case almost back on track before the hearing. It definitely improved the recommendation a bit, and I'm happy to adopt that and to reward, frankly, reward your effort. All right, anything else? All right, so if you'll step back, turn left, here you go, right over by the light switch for the bailiffs. All right, Jones. Shauna Jones. Shawna Jones.
Yes.
If you'll please raise your right hand. You all both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
All
I
right.
do.
All right, so please state your full name for me.
Shauna Jones.
All right, and Ms. Jones, you're here on 22 SR 1832 because your probation officer filed paperwork with the court alleging that you're out of compliance with your probation. Do you understand what you're doing here today?
Yes.
You have the right to have an attorney represent you, and you're here representing yourself. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Floor's yours.
Judge, on 22 SR 1832, the defendant is alleged to have violated the terms and conditions of probation on the following. The defendant did test positive for alcohol on or about August 16, 2023 at the Spalding County Sentence Enforcement Office. The recommendation on this case is for her to report as directed payments of $130 a month to complete a new substance abuse evaluation within 30 days and follow any recommendations. 2 weekends in jail on September the 22nd and September the 29th. 0 tolerance for 90 days. Her next report date would be in person on September 20th between the hours of 1 and 5.
Okay. 2 questions. A, do you admit to the violation?
No.
Okay. So in denying the violation, what we're going to need to do is I'm going to, have we had any prior hearings?
No, sir.
Any prior educations?
No.
Any prior cases?
Um,
I know that's a broader question.
that's more difficult just without having access to the old probation system.
That's right. I got it.
None in the new system.
No.
All right, give me just a second. I'm gonna look up just a little more information about you in my system, and then I'll tell you what we're gonna do next. Okay, I show that this is the only case you've ever had with me. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reset your hearing, so that the state can, subpoena the, well, whoever they want to subpoena. And you have the right also to do 2 things. So that's what they're gonna do. But what you have the right to do is, because this is a, not just a technical, like you missed an appointment or something, because this is a matter of scientific questions, you have the right to apply with the public defender's office to see about having them represent you. You can certainly hire your own attorney. Do you understand that? Okay. You nodded your head yes, so I'm gonna take that. You also understand that you have the right to subpoena powers just in the way that the state does. So if you have anybody that you would like to subpoena, you have that right as well. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions about the procedure or what's about to happen or anything that I can answer for you before you and I part ways today?
Could you provide me with her recommendations one more time?
Her recommendation was, and correct me if I've got this wrong, actually I'll just let you do it. Because if I do it, I am going to get it wrong.
Says report to probation as directed, payments of $130 a month to complete a new substance abuse evaluation within 30 days and follow any recommendation. 2 weekends in jail on September the 22nd and September the 29th. 0 tolerance for 90 days. The next report date would be on September the 20th between 1 and 5.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Do you want to take a minute and think about your options and let me call you back up in a minute?
Yes.
Okay, because I have other cases.
Okay.
You can grab a seat.
Thank you.
We'll come back to you. Nays? I'd have to run the system. All right, y'all both raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you both sworn. Please state your full name for me.
Jasmine May.
And Jasmine Mays, you're here on 22 SR 2129, and it says here that You're on probation with the Spalding County State Court, and your probation officers filed this paperwork alleging that you're out of compliance with your probation. Do you understand what you're doing here today?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand you have the right to have an attorney represent you?
Yes, sir.
And you're here representing yourself. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
All right, you ready to go forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay, floor's yours.
Judge, on this case, violations A and C are both gonna be removed,
Good job.
and I would ask for a modification, as well, once I get to my recommendation in reference to violation C.
Okay.
So on 22 SR 2129, the defendant is alleged to have violated the terms and conditions of probation in the following. The defendant failed to complete community service hours as ordered at a rate of 6 hours per week, turning in 71 hours and 15 minutes of 240 court-ordered hours. The recommendation on this case is for her to report to probation as directed, payments of $100 bi-weekly, community service at 10 hours a week, zero tolerance for 120 days. The next report date would be in person on September the 20th between 1 and 5. She turned in a detailed suspension report yesterday. She is not eligible to obtain a valid Class C license until November 7th of 2027.
Oh, wow.
So we would ask if you would be willing to just remove that condition. She may be eligible for a permit in 2024,
Yeah.
but we're still working through that.
I'm not gonna step into that, but you can just remove the whole thing. I want you to get your permit, but I'm not gonna order you to get your permit.
Okay.
I'm gonna just trust that you don't wanna come back and see me for driving on a suspended license and that you are self-motivated to get that fixed, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because that'll simplify both what your obligations and time, and yours, because you will, I have enough time to get you to get the permit, but not enough time to get you to get the license, and so I'm not gonna step into either.
She also has a non-report option, Judge, and so if we did ask her to get that permit, it would inconvenience that option. And she's a really good probationer, so.
So I can sense that. I can sense that this is more of a course correction, than a revocation here, so. Okay, the short answer is yes. So I'm not worried about your license at all, other than just the general job as my judge to say, hey, why don't you go get your license back? Your life will be better for it, okay?
Okay.
All right, anything else, Director?
No, sir.
All right, do you admit to the violation that's still standing?
Yes, sir.
And is that recommendation acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Then that works for me as well. So, need anything else?
No, sir.
All right, if you'll step back there, step over the light switch, wait for the bailiffs. They'll have you sign a copy and give it to you to take with you. That's good stuff. Good job. Scott? All right, yeah, grab that mic, pull it down. It's for short folks like us and taller folks like others. All right, if you'll both please raise your right hands. You both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, state your full name for me.
Kristen Scott.
All right, Ms. Scott, you're here because you're participating in our pretrial intervention program, and your probation officer, your supervising officer has filed paperwork alleging that you're not in compliance with the pretrial intervention terms that you've agreed to. Do you understand what you're doing here today?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Scott, do you understand there's two things going on today? First, I'm deciding whether or not you have violated the pretrial intervention agreement. And then secondly, if I find that you have, I will make a second decision as to whether to simply sanction you or to actually remove you from the program. And in that same breath, I'm also determining whether or not you violated your bond, because as you're well aware, successfully completing the pretrial intervention program is a condition of your bond.
Yes.
And if I remove you, then you have by default violated your bond. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so those are the two questions I'm trying to decide. Any other questions before we go forward?
Yes, sir.
All right, it's all yours.
Judge, on 21 SR 2599, the defendant is alleged to have violated the terms and conditions of the pretrial program in the following. The defendant failed to pay the court fees as ordered, being in arrears $120. The defendant failed to provide proof of completing community service hours at a rate of 6 hours per week, turning in 14 hours and 15 minutes of the 50 converted hours. The recommendation on this case is for her to report to probation weekly for the duration, payments of $60 a week, community service at a rate of 12 hours per week, zero tolerance for the duration of active probation. Her next report date would be September 20th between 1 and 5.
All right, two questions. Do you admit to the violations?
Yes, sir.
And is that recommendation acceptable?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And I also would like to say that I've got 45 hours completed now. I emailed Ms. Ellis yesterday with the paper, and I complete the 5 hours tomorrow. And I can also pay I think I have 60 left to pay.
Yes.
Also tomorrow.
Well, that's good because your case is terminated upon completion. So,
Right. Yes, sir.
so the moment you've checked these boxes, not only will you get your case back into compliance, but you'll close it.
Right.
And then you and I will just see each other around town and not in here. So, okay. Well, good job on that. Keep up the good work. Get your case closed. Get me in your rearview mirror, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions before we part ways?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you'll step out there, wait up the light switch from the bailiffs. They'll have you sign a copy of your order. They'll have you sign your order and give you a copy.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, there's that one. All right, Ms. Jones, if you'll step back up. So Ms. Jones, I went and, I wanted to give you a couple minutes, and you indicated that that's what you wanted to do. We were on the same page there. So I went and handled a couple of other hearings while you decide whether you wanted to accept the recommendation or have a hearing. Are there any questions I can answer for you about your options before you make your decision?
I just know that I'm gonna have to come back out here in order to continue it. That's an inconvenience. I'm already missing too many days of work. The recommendation is ideal because that's the easier option, but I just feel it's expensive.
Right.
And
Well,
I've completed everything that I needed to do in a timely fashion.
okay. So my problem, so just so you know my hesitation, it actually has very little, well, let me rephrase that. A couple of things. So number one, before I started doing jail time on the positive alcohol screens, I had a lot more of them. I had tons of them. And so finally I was like, well, whatever I'm doing to respond to these alcohol screens is not working because everyone is weighing out how I'm handling and responding and deciding that it's worth it. I'm not saying you did that. I'm just simply saying that was very clear. That was a very clear pattern of people drinking while on probation. And once I added one weekend, it cut back significantly. And once I got 2 weekends, it cut it down to very low amounts. So I know it looks harsh from your end, but I just need you to know that this was a very carefully cultivated, might be the right word, organic system that finally found the balance point for them. Would it be easier for you if instead of 2 weekends for you to do like 4 straight days?
No, I work Monday through Friday and I have a son.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let me ask Ms. Matthews a quick question. I'll be right back. Ms. Matthews, or I was asking Director Matthews just a little bit about your reporting history and all that, and that you've done well. But I haven't heard anything from either of you that's made me feel that I should change what we have here. I'm offering you a hearing, you have that right. You're in Fayette, so you're only, 30 minutes up the road. But I do recognize that coming back to court is a headache. And I just want to make sure you hear me say that if you do want to request a hearing, we will have that hearing at the next court date. So today is kind of an arraignment day where if you want to admit and close your case, you can. But I want you to hear me say, and I want the record to be very clear, that I have no expectations that you will admit. I just want you to make the decision that you think is best for you. And if you want to admit and accept the terms that are offered, that's fine. If you do not want to admit and you want to have a hearing, that's fine. I will note for the record, the only thing about this entire situation that gives me pause is the fact that you did do a best interest plea. And I only tell you that because I do pay attention to that when those come back, because I take those best interest pleas. So you did not admit the underlying facts of the case. You simply entered your plea. And so I will let you know that I do factor that in making my decision that, you accepted the terms of the original plea without admitting to the underlying facts of the case. So that's it. That's everything I've got to tell you. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
The easier option is to take the recommendation.
Well, that's your choice to make.
Alright, I will make that choice.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to find that she's asked me to accept the recommendation, and I'm going to follow that recommendation. Just to make it easy, just put best interest after the end of that she's admitted the best interest here.
Would changing the jail days help any?
Yeah, with moving the dates around at all, like I said, I'm open to moving what I can within my guidelines. So I mean, I said earlier like 4 days. Would that be easier? You said no, and so Director Matthew said, would changing those dates assist things at all? Assist you? And
Can they start in October?
yeah, I'd be great with that. So, so do you have? Let's see. October dates would be October 6th. So it's Friday, October 6th, 13th, 20th, or 27th. So just pick 2 consecutive weekends. So 6th and 13th, 13th and the 20th, or the 20th and 27th.
Whichever is fine.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with October 6th and 13th then. Because that'll give you 2 weeks to figure out childcare for the weekend. And again, I hope that you and I don't have to go through this again. Like I said, you've only had one case with me. And you've got tons of time left. And you're terminated upon completion after 12. So, you've got an exit strategy here. We've just got to get you through it. So, okay. All right. Is there anything else I can answer for you before we part ways?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, then, if you'll step back and step over the light switch, and they'll have you sign your order, and they'll give you a copy of it.
Thank you.
That's a good idea. That's a good call. Okay. Is there anybody here whose name was not called that I need to address? All right. Nice and loud. What's your name?
Talmadge.
Talmadge. What are you charged with, Mr. Talmadge?
Not maintaining line DUI.
Okay. Let me take a look at it.
Your Honor, we have another case, same way, he's not on the calendar also, yes, DUI.
All right. So it's Benjamin Talmadge.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me look at Mr. Talmadge first, and then we'll circle over.